Welcome to the Double R Show, the podcast that features everything about North Lincoln County. The Double R Show, directed and produced by Paul Robertson and hosted by the voice of Lincoln City, Roger Robertson.
And welcome to the Double R Show. We appreciate you listening in to what we have to say and what our guests have to say. In particular, on this program, Representative David Gomberg, Senator Dick Anderson, and Dr. Leslie Ogden will all join us.
ACM Award winners, Eli Young Band. Got a little drunk last night. Live in concert. Saturday, February 1st, 8 p.m., Chinook Winds Casino Resort. A night of timeless classics. On sale now at ChinookWinds.com. Chinook Winds, where concerts are better at the beach.
It is time for State Representative David Gomberg to go back to Salem. And are you ready?
Am I ready? My goodness. That's the hardest question I've been asked in a long time, Roger, because it's hard to know how to be ready for a legislative session. It's hard to know how things are going to evolve. Certainly, we have a clear indication of who's going to be there and who the leadership is going to be. I would also say we've got a pretty clear indication of what the most important issues are going to be. But how that plays out, how the politics will unfold. I mean, we have seen successful legislative sessions like the most recent one. We've seen devastatingly ineffective sessions like the one before that suffered a walkout of nearly 40 days. So who knows how this one's going to run? Ask me at the end of the session whether I was ready for it.
That's probably a little more to the point. Now, let's talk a little bit about what you anticipate presenting as far as legislation goes.
Well, I did an interview with some folks earlier this week, and they said, what are the most important issues on the coast? And I said, well, the availability and affordability of housing, the availability and the affordability of health care, your cost of living and your quality of life. Now, those are the most important issues here. But, if I were sitting here chatting with you from Madras or Prineville or from Klamath Falls or from Portland, I'd give you the same answers. I would say that more particularly here on the coast, we've got to be concerned about our aging infrastructure. And you know how hard I've been working on beefing up our roads, our bridges, our water and sewer systems.
Especially since the fires.
Oh, especially since the fires. Getting money to repair the roads that were damaged and helping people build back their homes. I mean, one thing after another. Those are local issues that are critically important.
Do you have specific legislation that you will propose?
Yes. And, we can write as many bills as we want. Some people, they call them the 100 Club because they write more than 100 bills. That's crazy and it's inefficient. I've got about a dozen pieces of legislation that I am chief sponsoring. And the most important one is another infrastructure bill. I mean, 2 sessions ago, I put together a bipartisan team from across rural Oregon, Republicans and Democrats, to work on economic development. And we generated about $100 million of investments. Then I went to work on rural infrastructure. And again, bipartisan, about $100 million. Last session, I worked on water and sewer and was able to pull about $100 million out of the governor's package for housing that was going to help us rebuild our water and sewer systems, because I argued that, if you didn't have clean water coming out of the tap or dirty water going down the drain, your house wasn't going to be very livable. Well, this session, I'm trying to do the same thing, a bipartisan rural package on public safety. I'm worried about our aging police stations, fire stations. I'm worried about wildfire training facilities. And more locally, I'm worried that our coastal hospitals, ready for this, Roger? Our coastal hospitals have an average of 2 to 3 days supply of drinkable water and propane for their generators.
Need more.
We're asking families to be 2 weeks ready, and the average hospital is only 2 days ready. So I've got this bill, about a $50 million rural package for public safety that we hope will include beefing up our water and propane supplies at our hospitals, building some of our fire stations, moving them out of the inundation zone, trying to help people with mental health recovery. There's a lot of different aspects to this, but it's a big bill.
Is it a bill that will force you to get people from both sides of the aisle?
Well, I've already recruited people from both sides of the aisle, and I have done that with some success for the last 3 sessions. So we're just trying to emulate our past model for how we get these dollars to our part of Oregon, and I've had some success with that. This stage of the session, a week before we actually gavel in, the word is we don't have very much money this year. Now, we hear that at the beginning of every session.
That's a given.
But it feels like that's more true this year. We're not going to have
Why is that?
Well, I mean, the first thing is that we don't have all these big dollars coming from the federal government to the aftermath of COVID.
Okay.
The ARPA funds, the American Recovery Acts, all the big dollars that we grabbed chunks of and brought home to do things like the Cultural Center and the Welcome Center and the new park here in Lincoln City, or recovery in Otis, or new docks in Depot Bay. We grabbed big chunks of those dollars, but those dollars aren't there. So we're going to be scrambling like everybody else to get our hands on lottery dollars and a few meager general fund dollars for the kind of projects that we're really concerned about, which is why I'm looking for $50 million instead of $100 million.
And you've got support on both sides of the aisle, you said?
I've got co-sponsors that are Democrats and Republicans, senators and representatives.
Because you're going back into the legislative session with the vote of the Republicans, the Democrats, and the Independents.
Well, it was an interesting election cycle. I mean, after a couple of years of running these packages, I was joking with somebody that I probably brought more money to Republican districts than most of the Republicans did. So they must figure they're better off with me than without me. But so, yes, this last election cycle, I was nominated by the Democrats. I'm a Democrat. I was also nominated by write-in vote at the primary by the Republicans because they didn't field a candidate. And then I got the nomination to the Independent Party. But, I should also remind you, Roger, I'm going back into the session, and I have been nominated to serve as the Speaker pro tempore of the Oregon House. Now, what does that mean? I tell people it's kind of like being vice president. Everybody knows who you are and nobody knows what you do. But the fact of the matter is that on paper, I'm number 2 in the House, and nominated to do that by both Democrats and Republicans. So I'll be up there at the podium with the gavel when the Speaker isn't.
That brings a lot of extra pressure on you, does it not?
Well, it does, because when there is a flashpoint, you're the person who is first there with a fire extinguisher. Mm-hmm. Somebody gets upset about something, you've got to bring the temperature down. Somebody brings forward a motion just out of left field, and you say, what the heck is going on? I was at the podium last session when somebody who had spent more time than I had reading the rules of the House said, oh, by the way, the statute requires each of our bills to be written at a 6th grade reading level. And this bill is not written at a 6th grade reading level, therefore it's an illegal bill. And I'm the guy with the gavel who's got to make an immediate response to that before we can move on.
Interesting dilemma.
Sometimes. I mean, I was certainly there during the walkouts and presiding. I've had the honor of presiding over the House maybe 100 times over the last 5 years. And now I've been elevated to where I'm doing that in the official position as the number 2, the Speaker pro tem.
State Representative David Gomberg, we look forward to having you on as many times as possible, live or semi-live, if you will, from Salem as the session gets underway next week.
Well, it does indeed. We gavel in. We are going to be sworn in on the 13th, and then after that, mostly we'll be sworn at. But yeah, Roger, I need to get back with you on a regular basis and let folks out here in North County know exactly what's going on to them or for them from Salem.
We'll do it with David Gomberg. Back in a moment.
Wouldn't it be great to have all your insurance needs handled by one agency? This is Charlotte Lado with Farmers Insurance and the Insurance Store. Visit our office next to the Wildflower Grill in Lincoln City. Let us be your one stop for your personal, commercial, health, and Medicare insurance needs.
Zantello Law Group has moved. I'm Josh Zantello, and our law firm is now located across from the Lincoln City Community Center on Northeast 21st. Our law firm of knowledgeable professionals stand ready to assist you in life's matters.
You'll find a book for every occasion at Bob's Beach Books. Something to read as you relax by an open fire? We have it. Studying a particular topic? We have that too. Traveling to a far-off land? Discover it first by reading. Bob's Beach Books in the Ocean Lake area of Lincoln City? Come discover.
State Senator Dick Anderson joins us as we prepare for another legislative session. And you got to be excited, apprehensive. How do you feel about what's upcoming, Dick?
Roger, I'm really excited. Actually, as some people may know, this will be my second term, second 4-year term. And certainly with time, one learns a lot more. And in that building in Salem, knowing the backroom antics
makes a difference.
It does make a difference. And, knowing the people. It's so much different, will be for me, coming in more of a senior person, senator, than that rookie in 21. Though I had good staff, continue to have good staff, it's still the relationships that have been formed over the 4 years.
Not everything is strictly party line. No. There's a lot of give and take all the way across, correct?
Exactly. I've actually said hi to people from the other aisle once in a while. No,
occasionally.
You're exactly right. The heart of those 90 people, 90 electeds, 90 members is good. They all have strong feelings about Oregon, what Oregon should look like, how they can participate. And I think most people understand that they can't do it alone. They need allies, they need the vote count, and their ideas need to be either clarified, shaped, compromised, to move forward. So I found it a very interesting, exciting, rewarding environment.
Anything on the slate that Senator Anderson wants to see accomplished?
The answer is yes.
Okay.
I've got a lot of stuff. Why I ran, again, because we're not done by any means. Oregon continues to have crisis situations that we've not accomplished enough towards a success story, and that's, for me, it's housing, it's child care, it's education, and it's the health cares, physical, mental, behavioral health, and oral. I was happy to see the governor in her proposed budget. She actually stated, we're going to concentrate on 3: housing, behavioral health, and education.
Where you're coming from.
Bingo. And that's right where those kind of things fit me very well, because that's what I've been working on. It's under my umbrella of a healthy community, and, there's a lot of work there. Actually, I've been assigned to 2 new committees from the last 4 years. I've been dropped off education. I guess I'm not smart enough for education anymore. But in lieu of that, put me onto a brand new Senate committee with Senator Reynolds, a new senator, will chair it, and I'm vice chair, and it's child care and behavioral health.
That's still really
right up
in your
my
wheelhouse.
alley. Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly, and I worked with Senator Reynolds when she was a representative. This fits right in, and it helps push. So I've got housing, the child care, behavioral health world, and then I also added another Ways and Means. I'm still on full Ways and Means sub natural resources, and then now a Ways and Means sub general government, which is even more of the agencies, state government agencies, seeing their budgets. It's a good one for me. I was on it in 21 and then moved to a different one, but this just gives me a lot more juice. I like to think it's because I'm senior.
And you take advantage of it for your constituency.
Yeah.
A lot of people would look at your assignments, your committee assignments, and say, well, that's not a Republican place to be.
You're right, and I've heard that. Those are good observations. But for me, it's never been about the politics of it, either party. It's about, back to my healthy community and what I've represented. And I think it's reflective, when I was mayor and city councilor in Lincoln City, now the district, Senate District 5, and concentrating on those livable things. How do we make things better for the citizens of, in this case, Senate District 5, but overall the state of Oregon?
You mentioned your district. You have a huge district land-wise.
It is. It's large from what I view. I get in trouble with these Eastern Oregon guys because they talk about 43% of the Oregon state land mass is one district in Eastern Oregon. I can't compete with that. But it is. It's a 3-hour drive to Coos Bay, I can tell you, from here. And it's it makes for a lot of road work.
Speaking of Coos Bay, that has really been a place where that you've taken the lead with economic development.
Well, there's a lot of good stuff going on down there, a lot of potential. The port of Coos Bay is like the port of Portland, only one of two international ports in Oregon. It's a deep water port. It has all sorts of potential. It's got a railroad line into Eugene, and it used to be massive in the timber days. So the challenge, again, is how do you reconstruct? What can you bring back? And I've always seen the potential there. I've helped them with funding for some new projects and from buying property, the old Georgia Pacific mill site. Got money to buy that from them to redevelop. And now there's a container operation that's getting federal money as well. So things are looking up very well, I think, for Coos Bay.
Speaking of money, you will not have the deep pockets this legislative session that you've had coming from the federal government in the years gone by.
Well, I don't know why you'd say that, Roger. The federal government doesn't worry about offsetting. They have printing presses.
Okay.
So I thought all we had to do was ask, and money
brought forth.
Yeah, come forth. Every year, every biennium, so that's been 2 in my time, we start out the session with concerned about budgets, concerned about revenue. I don't share that, and then miraculously, there's plenty of money. So I'm into, there's going to be plenty of money. The Oregon tax system generates enough money. I don't see anything really changing that.
Very good.
So it's there. But you're right. We won't have the COVID money, the ARPA money that helps support. But I think the last kicker was $5.6 billion. That means the tax system, overpaid by $5.6 billion.
Senator Dick Anderson's been our guest, and we look forward to having you on when you are in session as well.
I would love it, and I'll be there shortly.
Gretchen Wilson, live in concert. She's bringing back the party, and she's ready to get rowdy. Saturday, January 18th, Chinook Winds Casino Resort. Tickets are on sale now at ChinookWinds.com. Gretchen Wilson live.
Time sure flies when you're all jacked up.
Chinook Winds, where concerts are better at the beach.
Northwest Septic Service is your one-stop shop for all your septic needs.
Northwest Septic Service offers pumping, maintenance, repair, and inspections with one call, 541-994-6977.
Buying or selling a home? Northwest Septic Service can inspect your sewer line or an entire septic system.
Old or failing septic system? Northwest Septic Service can rejuvenate most drain fields, saving you thousands of dollars. 541-994-6977.
Serving Lincoln, Tillamook, and Yamhill counties, Northwest Septic Service.
Dr. Leslie Ogden, Samaritan North Lincoln Hospital and Pacific Communities Hospital, joins us next. And you've got a lot of activities that have taken place in the last few days, including a ribbon cutting.
Yes, we were very excited to have our own Chamber of Commerce folks come in droves, actually, along with a lot of VIPs and also community members who just wanted to see the thing happen. And we had a proper ribbon cutting for our brand new Samaritan Pharmacy, Lincoln City.
Now, the Samaritan Pharmacy is in the hospital or across the parking lot from the hospital building, correct?
Correct. Right across the parking lot. So if you're looking at the hospital from the parking lot, then turn around and you'll immediately see the drive-through of the pharmacy on the other end of the parking lot. So,
now, is it both drive-through and inside service as well?
Correct. You can walk in, and in fact, we hope you do, because we also have the hospital auxiliary gift shop right there next door. So if you walk in, you can also do some gift shopping as well. And I do think that those folks try really hard to figure out what we'll buy, because they target to sell, that is for sure. And of course, all proceeds go back to the hospital.
And they also put together a beautiful basket for the Angels Anonymous Festival of the Trees, which sold very well.
Sold very well.
Sold
absolutely.
very well. So earlier in the program, in the podcast, Representative David Gomberg was talking about water resilience activities he's involved in at the state capitol now. You've got some information about that locally.
Right, correct. Of course, Representative Gomberg is thinking much larger, thinking along the coast and in fact, all over the state. And what can we be doing to obtain some funding for especially water and sewer resiliency projects that are just so expensive. And he's done a phenomenal job of making sure that we have infrastructure funding. But his latest target as well will include, we hope, some funding perhaps for hospitals as well to become more resilient in what they can offer. And for example, we for many years have been working on a water resiliency project at our Newport Hospital because of the shape of the dams there. And we have most recently gotten just under $1 million of FEMA funding to actually start that project. But now we are doing the same type of project at North Lincoln Hospital. I think we've talked about it before, but now we're starting to figure out where are those funding sources going to come from. Who's going to have some money either at the federal level or the state level, because these are not inconsequential projects. This is water resiliency for a month in the event of any type of either seismic event that might disrupt our water source, wildfire event, God forbid, just any number of things. Even prolonged power outage could affect our ability to have sustainable water source.
So you're really talking about capacity that would last for a period of time, correct?
Correct. Capacity for a month's worth of water at the hospital. And if people think about, well, what are you really talking about using water for? We can't do surgeries without water. We can't do wound care without water. We can't even wash our hands and do the basic infectious disease prevention without water. And that's not even to say meal preparation and, everything else, our cleanliness and everything across the board that you can think of. Even mixing drugs requires water in a lot of cases. And so having that water resiliency and knowing that no matter what happens, we will have a source of clean, potable water for us. It is making sure that we can deliver care, again, no matter what.
I would have to think that the water goes hand in glove then with sewer.
Correct.
Or do we not have the same type of situation?
Well, what we're doing is aiming at water first, and then we'll figure out the sewer part, because we have actually talked to state representatives and folks at DOGAMI, the Department of Geology and Mineral Industries, about things like this, like what order do your resiliency projects need to come in, and where does sewer fit into that? And, they said, tragically, but very practically, sewer comes sort of at the bottom of the list. Like, you need fresh water first.
First and foremost.
You need power next. You then need medical supplies and medications, and then, then you get to figuring out the sewer and things along those lines.
And you do have the power production facilities on campus, correct?
Correct. We have backup generators, and we are required by law to have 96 hours of emergency generator power there, and we do, absolutely. We have way more than that. But we do not have a month's worth. And so that will be our next resiliency project to tackle, will be power. But we'll work on water first. And hopefully the good Representative Gomberg and many of our other leaders will help us find that resiliency funding to pay for some of these multi-million-dollar projects.
Communities really can't go it alone on projects of that scope.
Right. It is, as we've been sort of pointed out so many times, we have a problem with small sort of payers for these infrastructure projects, right? There's not enough of us in a town or an area to pay for some of these multi-million-dollar projects. So we really do have to look at outside sourcing for some of those funds.
Dr. Leslie Ogden, Smarta North Lincoln Hospital, Pacific Communities Hospital CEO, thank you much. And again, we look forward to working again with Representative Gomberg and Senator Anderson to bring some of these programs together.
Absolutely. We'll keep working and make our community better and better.
We at La Roca are proud of our food, but don't take our word for it. Read the reviews. One person wrote, "The service was friendly and efficient." Another writes, "La Roca has become one of our favorites because it's authentic Mexican food."
If you're looking for great early garden fresh produce, it's Kenny's IGA in the Bay Area of Lincoln City. 4 generations of Morgans caring for your every grocery need. All of your favorite beverages, a full deli, meat, produce, and of course, groceries.
We may be young, but we are experienced. Hi, Adina Zeller here, and Zeller's restaurants are now a year old, but the experience in preparing and serving food goes way back generations. Zeller's Lincoln City and Rose Lodge. Come on in.
All right, Paul, I guess we got an open house that's going to be in Lincoln City. You're going to have a discussion on the crosswalks in the Ocean Lake area of Lincoln City.
Yeah, there's 2 mid-block crossings that were put in during the big renovation, and there's interest from the city's perspective, I think, at this point, to remove those. But, that's where they need to hear your voice and to hear what the people want on that. And so they're going to have an open house, or 2, actually.
2
right?
of them, correct. One on Tuesday, January 14th, 5 to 6:30, and Wednesday, January 15th, 12 to 1:30 in the council chambers up at City Hall.
Yeah, so give them some feedback and learn a little bit about something happening potentially there in Ocean Lake.
Well, and if you don't know what we're talking about, go to the city's website, www.lincolncity.org, and read all about. There's already been a lot of research done on this proposal, as I understand it.
Right, yeah. And so this is kind of, opportunity there for folks to give some feedback.
And if you want to talk to the city employee, Stephanie Reed is in charge of that. Her telephone number is 996-1236 at City Hall. And talk to Stephanie about it's her department that's heading this up, correct?
Yeah, it's through Public Works, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And we invite you to come and have pizza. We're going to have a free pizza night out at Beechcrest Brewing at the marketplace at Salishan. This is being sponsored by Always Traveling and a fellow by the name of John Jerkovich. And John is the guru of Viking Cruise Lines, is going to be at the event to talk about Viking Cruise Lines, the river cruises, and the ocean cruises. If you've got a question about Viking or want more information about Viking, this is the place it's going to be. We also have a special cruise that Matt and Amy White from Beechcrest are leading on the Rhine River in October. It's going to be pretty spectacular.
So pizza, and what time and place?
It's going to be out at Beechcrest on the 13th of January, 6 o'clock. And the pizza is free of charge. That's on Always Traveling. And the beer, that's on you.
Or in you, hopefully.
Or in you, yes, as a matter of fact. So we invite you to come out and enjoy that activity out at Beechcrest. It should be a lot of fun. Lincoln City Cultural Center has kids' art workshops going on, and that's Thursdays 3 to 6. Drop-ins are $5, a 10 pass for $40. And Paul is big into yoga, or you didn't know that.
You asked me this last week, and yes, I've done yoga. I actually did it through the community college, Oregon Coast Community College, back in the 90s. They had yoga classes.
Really?
And then when I was in England at Imperial College, we had a yoga instructor that would come in and teach yoga too. So yeah, it's a college thing for me.
Now, Imperial College in London is what?
Imperial College London is actually the MIT of Europe in a lot of ways. It's basically the biggest research institute in England, and I actually got to go there and study environmental science there back in 2002, I guess it was 2002, 2003. But yeah, they're the big research institute. It used to be called Imperial College of Science, Medicine, and Technology. And then actually the year I was there, they rebranded to Imperial College of London.
But going back to the yoga, failed to mention this is Gentle Chair Yoga, Mondays, 11:30 at the Lincoln City Senior Center. So you don't qualify yet.
Oh, okay.
Or maybe you do. Anything else your side of the table?
No, I think we're clear from here.
And we'll see everybody out at Beechcrest Brewing, the marketplace at Salishan. Come out to have free pizza and find out about Viking Cruise Lines. That's Viking Cruise Lines. John Jerkovich is going to be on hand to lead the discussion. January 13, 6 o'clock at Beechcrest. That'll do it to the Dunes on a Double R show. Please remember to like, subscribe, share so you, your family, friends around the world and across the street can join us on a Double R show. For Paul, Jana, I'm Double R. Have a happy day.
You've been listening to The Double R Show. Join Roger and Paul Robertson as they explore everything about North Lincoln County. The Double R Show, produced by Always Productions and hosted by Roger Robertson. Have a story? Email contact@alwaysproductions.com or call 458-201-3039. For The Double R Show, I'm Jana Grawn.